In today's transitory society, where people chase ambition from place to place, high school football coaching is one job where someone can begin a career as a young man, mature into a seasoned teacher, and eventually become as linked to the school as a campus building or architectural fixture. Ron Calcagno became one of those fixtures. In 1966, the San Francisco native and former star at St. Ignatius High began teaching and coaching at St. Francis High School in Mountain View. In 1972, he was named the head football coach. And by the time Calcagno left the school, 30 years after he'd started there, he had assembled one of the state's best all-time won-loss records and had coached hundreds of young men who for 3 decades learned exactly why Calcagno was such a valuable St. Francis High resource.
He had a win philosophy, which doesn't mean you want to win the games. It was what's important now. And I think he put an emphasis on players, both in and out of season, what they were doing in the classroom, what they did after school, not only after school and while they were attending the school, but what they did later on in life. Ron still is very close to a number of his players.
Before he became a South Bay coaching icon, however, Calcagno earned his athletic fame as a 2-sport star at Santa Clara University. In the early 60s, he quarterbacked the Bronco football team and earned Little All-American honors while playing for another San Jose Sports Hall of Famer, Coach Pat Malley. In the spring, Calcagno squatted behind the plate as a baseball catcher for a Santa Clara squad that reached the 1962 College World Series. His baseball demeanor foreshadowed the coaching career he would soon embrace.
He'll admit that he wasn't the best hitter. I think that he could call a great game, and he had great pitching staff. People had a lot of confidence in Ron. That was something I think that his players did when he coached any team. You just felt like he knew he was in charge, he knew what he was doing. You didn't question, you didn't doubt. As a matter of fact, I think he could make the wrong call, and because people believed in him, they'd still be successful.
After a brief stint playing in the Canadian Football League, Calcagno heard about a job vacancy at young St. Francis High, which was then only a dozen years old. He was hired as a business and algebra teacher while serving as an assistant coach in several sports. 6 years later, he was ready for the head football coaching challenge. It was the start of a long and beautiful relationship. Over the next 24 seasons, Calcagno and his St. Francis Lancer teams won 12 championship trophies in the tough West Catholic League and also took 11 Central Coast Section championships, including 5 in a row from 1991 to 1995. His status as a campus fixture was cemented.
It gives me great pleasure this evening to present the CCS Perpetual Trophy to head football coach Ron Calcagno.
It certainly makes the athletic director's job very easy when you have a coach like Ron Calcagno running the program. Didn't have to worry about anything there. My job was basically put on the game. Make sure we had gatekeepers and referees, and Ron ran everything else.
He fell in love with the whole system, the school, the players, the coaches he coached with. I think the whole system of St. Francis High School was a perfect fit for Ron.
Ron Calcagno coached teams had several qualities. They were always prepared, they seldom made mistakes or committed personal fouls, and they never considered a season over until it was over. In 1984, Calcagno's Lancers carried a 28-game winning streak into the season opener and were shut out by Oak Grove. But Calcagno rallied his players, and the team lost just one of the next 12 games on the way to another CCS title. In 1991, the Lancers' resilience was even more impressive. They won only 2 of their first 7 games, but caught a spark, never lost again, and took another section title. Perhaps the resilient attitude was the product of Calcagno's calculated choice not to treat football as nuclear science or treat a loss as the end of the world.
After a Friday night game, we would have a Saturday morning workout in the morning just to stretch and make sure everybody was feeling okay and healthy, and hopefully either celebrating a victory or making sure we weren't too down after a loss. And so Ron and I think Ray both came up with the idea that, hey, we'd have a little dress-up day. And so we asked the players to come in on Saturday morning dressed in somewhat costumes of our next opponent's mascot. And believe it or not, we had some pretty interesting get-ups from time to time.
One year, Bellarmine is St. Francis's arch rival, and a kid came dressed as a bell, and he certainly won the award.
Quarterback Tom Locatelli summed up one of the secrets to the Lancers' success.
I think a lot of people are proud to be Lancers. Take a lot of pride in ourselves. I think we work hard, and it feels pretty good to be a St. Francis Lancer.
Calcagno's final totals at St. Francis were 233 victories, 59 defeats, and 3 ties. At the time he left the school for an executive position with the Oakland A's, only 6 high school football coaches in the state had ever won more games. But his legacy was far more than numbers. It was a rich vein of personal relationships that created respect from opponents and colleagues alike.
I was a brand new coach to the WCAL. I was taking over for a legend at Bellarmine. I was just kind of trying to make my way. And Ron actually called me on the phone, invited me to his house. We sat down and had a beer, and he talked to me and gave me guidance. He gave me pearls of wisdom. He gave me encouragement, and I'll never forget him for that. It was something that was made that day that we have a friendship for forever.
Believe it or not, a lot of our coaches and other programs used to come and watch football practice just to see how he was doing things and how our kids were reacting. And I think it not only made our football program better, but made a lot of our programs at St. Francis better. So I just want to thank Ron for all that he's done for me and my family personally, and I know I speak for others at the school.
Today, Calcagno lives in retirement as a South Bay resident, but he occasionally visits his old campus and takes in a football game. When he does so, he walks through the gates and sits in a structure that carries the name of Ron Calcagno Stadium. Tonight, the San Jose Sports Hall of Fame inducts an authentic South Bay High School athletic fixture who literally became an authentic South Bay High School athletic fixture.